Hey guys, what's up? It's Cut112 and this is my review of the Nintendo 3DS. As you can see, I picked up the Cosmo Black version. Okay, I'll first show you the main things you get inside the box. First thing, you're presented with this Street Pass Me Plaza packs and all that. I haven't actually looked at this myself yet either. The other, you get a Nintendo 3DS charger, which is exactly the same as the standard DSi charger. So if you have a DSi charger laying around, you don't need to bother unwrapping this one, just use that one, like I am. And you also get this charging cradle. Basically stick the charger in there, and then put your Nintendo 3DS on top, and then it'll start charging. Simple enough, and I quite like that as well. And the reason for that, which I'll quickly get into, because this is the most obvious thing of the 3DS, battery life is not great. In fact, you're getting about... It's stated you get 3 to 5 hours. IGN stated that you get 2 hours and 30 minutes with 3D on, which is a lie, or, well, not a lie, it's just very inaccurate. So far I've been getting with 3D on about 3 hours 30 minutes with, 3 hours 15 to 3 hours 30 minutes. If I'm switching between 2D and 3D, I get about 3 hours 50 minutes. So, for me personally, I think the battery is fine, because if you have a constant access to the charging cradle, whenever you close this, just stick it on the charging cradle, let it charge a bit, and that little bit always does help. Okay, so now the game I got for it is Super Street Fighter 4. It's the only one that I thought was worth spending money on, and I have just started a free rental, and I have got Lego Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars inside here. Just completed it, and overall good game. Now let's take a quick look at the system. You've got your two cameras in front here, which are used for taking 3D pictures, although they're not really that interesting. Probably for little kids they'd be fun, but for grown-ups and adults these are quite boring to use because the camera quality is very abysmal. If they're 0.3 megapixels, if this camera was, say for example 3 megapixels or something like that, it would be quite interesting even for adults to use, the 3D photos, because the pictures would be decent then. I didn't expect really good 3D pictures myself, but I did expect something decent or something to show for 3D, but even on 3D pictures they don't really show for 3D. There's a little flash over there for when using the camera, a little LED, a little light over here indicating when you need to charge it and everything. You get your shoulder buttons on the top, your charging port right there. I don't really know what that is. Here's the stylus, and I do not know why they put it on the top over here. This is one of the main problems with the design of the 3DS for me personally. The problem with the first original Fat DS was where the stylus was. The stylus was over here, so even if you're a right-hander, while this system was open, it would be somewhat easy to take your hand out and just take the stylus from the top, but it's over here, so for right-handers like me, it is a pain to get out. So, more than less, I'm using my fingernails instead on the touchscreen, which is quite sensitive. Anyway, here's your 3.5mm audio jack in the middle. I don't know why it's in the middle, because I've never normally seen a device like that in the middle. Here's a DS Lite, it's at the side, which I thought was better. No GBA slot, obviously, and you have your volume slider right over here, your SD card slot, and it's quite nice that they give you a 2GB memory card. Well, I've had a look, I took the memory card out, and if you take the memory card out, there is no internal memory like there was on the DSi, which feels quite cheating. Yes, okay, there is the cartridge slot over there, like you saw, and at the side over here, 3D slider, we'll get to that in a minute, and you get your little wireless slider thing right here. It's just like the power switch on the Nintendo DS Lite, except this is the wireless for wireless on and off. Okay, so that was a quick look around the system, and yeah, there's some LEDs right here, one for power on and one for when you need to charge, when it's charging or when you need to charge it. Okay, let's flip the device open. Okay, so first glance, it looks very similar to the Nintendo DS Lite and DSi, except obviously you have the really nice analog stick here, and the fact that the start, select, and home buttons are down here. And I think the home button is a new addition, because normally in the DSi you just press the power button once and there you go, it takes you to the home menu. Okay, you also have your 3D slider right over here. Different people have different comfort levels. Mine tends to be right over there, or just above the middle, and that gives me a good 3D effect. But if I get tired, or my eyes get tired, I bring it down to half, or just below half, or right here. Stick your fingernail right in there. You could see it's very, very little amount of 3D being able, so 3D is noticeable, but this doesn't really hurt your eyes, this setting, which is very good. And yes, let's go back to the circle pad right here. The circle pad really is nice. It's much better than the PSP one. PSP one is very small, it's got that really rough feel to it, but this is nice, rubbery, smooth, everything, really, really nice. I keep using this thing, it's really, really good. It reminds me of the Neo Geo Pocket Colors analog stick, except this is not clicky, and to me personally, I haven't tried the Neo Geo Pocket Color one, but this one looks a lot nicer to use. You have your D-pad right here, which I do not like the D-pad that much. It's clicky, it's responsive, but me personally, this is me personally, you guys have your own opinion, but I like the mushiness of the DS Lite buttons and stuff. And the design, everything better. And here's your speakers, much better than the DS Lite, it is a lot better. And something I forgot to point out, you get a front-facing camera over here on top of the screen. 3.5-inch screen, this is where all the 3D will be going on. And my word, it does look very nice with the 3D on. Okay, before we power the device on, let's do a quick size comparison. The side of a DS, this is a DS Lite and a DSi. The side, pretty much the same. At the bottom, again, pretty much the same. 3DS is a little bit thicker. And yeah, the side pretty much the same. Only thing, okay, let's have a quick look here. Yeah, the side, everything is pretty much the same. Shoulder buttons are bigger than these, obviously. Sorry, excuse me. Anyway, the only thing that makes the 3DS look thicker than the DS Lite is the fact that you've got these little 3 pieces over here. It's like a sandwich or cake design. On the DS Lite and the DSi, it's just a 1 piece. You have this little opening part, which is a 1 piece, and then you have the bottom half, which is another piece. Whereas on the 3DS, you have the top layer, the middle layer, and the bottom layer, which makes it look thicker, when really it is pretty much the same size as the DS Lite here. And also the DS Lite is nice and curved at the side and everywhere, whereas here it's, I don't think I'm able to make it out on camera, but it is a little bit rough on the edges. Okay, let's turn the system on. Is it starting? Yes, it is. It takes a little while to load up. Okay, Lego Star Wars 3. Okay, now, the menu structure looks pretty much the same as the DSi, and let's take out the styles. Something I forgot to point out, it's extendable. And also, just take note there, this does have this little built-in motion sensor, so if I do pick it up, put it down, it gives it a little twist, pick it up, it does like that as well, so keep doing that, that's what it does. Okay, so that's just one thing to note, just so you know. Now, let's take a look at the little things you get, the options you get on the top before we go to the bottom. Okay, here's your brightness setting. You have power saving off and on. I'll put it on. Well, if you put it on, it makes the screen look a bit lifeless. A little bit. Just by really reducing the brightness down, you have your brightness levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll press OK here. And at the top as well, you can split the way these icons look. As of now, you get a lot of empty spaces, but when the new eShop comes in a firmware update, these will be taking up these spots. Yeah, I personally like the 1 row, which is like the look of the DSi. Yep. Who doesn't like the Star Wars, the Clone Wars? Or Lego Star Wars for that matter. Okay, now, many of you guys in the USA do not recognize this. For us in the UK, we get this video here, and as you can see here, it says, for a limited time only. Basically, what it means by that is that you get this is video just for show of 3D video footage on the Nintendo 3DS, which I am quite surprised by. It does look very nice. I'll give you a quick show of that right now. Nice little splash screen, much like the PSP has its own. Okay, now you won't be able to see 3D on this Nintendo, on this camera, but if I put 3D on, it just makes the screen go weird on you. But on me, the 3D on this video is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to say it's beautiful. Water splashes and everything. which there is a little water scene that splashes later on. And this is a nice little video to demonstrate the 3D capabilities on the video. Now the only thing that's there, see this water, this splashes out of the screen. Now, and this little flower looks like as if it's about to come out. Yeah, very, very impressed with the 3D effect. It is fantastic. Oops, sorry about that. Let's just go back to the home screen. Now, annoying thing it just does is every single time you exit an application or game, it says suspended software. And in order to get rid of that, you either have to press the cross close over here, or just press the X button, and it'll close the software. But yeah, 3D video is very, very good on the 3DS, and one thing you have to take note of is that when you put 3D on, you always have to stay in the sweet spot, which means basically keep it straight on, so your eyesight, you can see it straight on. But if you do turn it, you can't tell on camera, but basically it is the picture is twisting and moving around everything. Basically, you have to stay like this when you're looking at the 3D effect. You have to stay straight in order to see it. But if you do move the DS just a teeny bit like this, you won't be able to get the 3D effect, which is a shame. But for portable consoles, it's passable, more than usable. Okay, now let's talk about the games I got for the system, or game I got for the system. As of now, the launch titles, there's a game in there for pretty much everyone, and yes, there certainly is a game in there for pretty much everyone. There's fighting, action, racing, and platformer, and 3D adventure, all that stuff, and sports, and stuff like that. So, this is not my game, Lego Star Wars 3. I've actually rented this game, just because I don't think it's worth paying for. And I just completed it. It's pretty good, full of glitches though. Actually takes away from the experience. This is the game I actually paid for, which is not surprising. Pretty much everyone wants to go for Street Fighter once they picked up their Nintendo 3DS. Street Fighter 4 for the 3DS is a fantastic game. Really is a lot of violence. The graphics are superb. The only thing that is just like the PS3 and 360 version. The only sacrifice made is that there's no animation to the backgrounds, but that you can pretty much forgive that. I really do love this game. This really does push the 3DS, or no, I should not say it pushes the 3DS just yet. Do you remember when the PSP came out? We thought that some of the games that came out that really pushed the system. I'm like, wow, those graphics are great. Well, the same is for this. The graphics are great, but launch titles never do really push the system. They never do. But I'm very sure the game that really showed it to you in visuals, that really pushed the system, was God of War for the PSP. That actually showed us what the PSP could do. Now, the graphics on this are fantastic, don't get me wrong, but launch titles never push the system. So I'm very sure the 3DS could do some more. Don't hold me to that, but I'm actually sure that it could do some more. I'm very sure it can. And yeah, here's the back cover, blah blah blah. Street Fighter is a really good game. I highly recommend that you pay for that one, or go for that one first, as I'm really glad I paid for that. I paid £24.98 for it. And the system itself, I paid £174.99 from Amazon. Okay, so you can see some gameplay footage right now, and then I will come back to you in a minute and let you know how it actually feels when you're actually using the buttons and everything to actually control your characters, etc. Okay, see you in a bit.
Super Street Fighter 4. The craziest and wildest fighters have assembled from around the world to join in the fight. But only one will be declared.
Yeah, everything's going great. What about you? How'd the test go? Great.
Whoever wins this one will have their name engraved in the pantheon of world warriors.
I'm ready for you. Bring it on. Today I shall win again.
It's the battle of the century. Fight!
That's right.
Pick up the pace. Fight. You win. East Asia, run down back out. Your destiny will be determined here.
There is no way you could ever knock me out.
It's the battle of the century. Fight. Let's keep it up. Fight. You win.
So that was gameplay of Street Fighter 4, and as you saw, the graphics were fantastic, and gameplay was really fun, especially under the camera. It was once you get the hang of the shoulder buttons and how to use the analog stick and all the controls and stuff, it's actually really a lot of fun to play. And it's even fun to play under this camera angle of mine. I wasn't really struggling with anything really to play. It's a lot more fun when you actually hold the system in your hand and start playing. But yeah, that was just an example of gameplay on the 3DS, and my, is it fantastic. And this analog stick really does help.
Super Street Fighter 4.
And yeah, this is how the 3DS should be used. There's been the PSP. Many of you know there have been lazy games coming out for it. Like, for example, lazy developers have been bringing out games. For example, like Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Now, you guys know God of War. It was very accurate to God of War for the PS2 and etc. You know, it was very good. The game was, and graphically, it was one of the best-looking games I've ever seen on a handheld. And we thought that yeah, that this was fantastic, and I was thinking that when they bring X-Men Origins Wolverine out, I thought it'd be good for the PSP. It looked really good on the 360, PS3, and PC. But I thought that if they did work hard, not try to fob a game off for the PSP just to rush it for release with the console versions, I was thinking they could have done sort of a God of War sort of thing, and made X-Men Origins Wolverine look just like how God of War did for the PSP. But no, there's many lazy developers out there. Ready at Dawn, they put a lot of work into their PSP games, whereas other PSP developers, many others, tend to just rush the game out so it'll be released alongside the console brothers. But I hope that does not happen with the Nintendo 3DS, because Street Fighter just showed us a perfect example there of what the games could look like when used properly. But there are some other games out there, like you saw Asphalt 3D as a launch title. That launch title, I'd say, has got to be the worst out of all of them, because that is basically a port of the mobile games, which is basically, by mobile I mean support of the Android and iPhone versions of Asphalt. If they ported the PS3 version, they worked hard on porting the PS3 version of the game onto this. This is a more than capable device. I don't want third-party developers just to throw it under the bus, just forget all about it. It's something new now, and then eventually we'll get bored of it, so let's just screw the games with them. That's what they're basically doing with the PSP, pretty much, most developers. They bought games out for the sake of it. They didn't really do quality. There seems to be more quantity of games with the PSP than it does be quality. There are quite a lot of games that are good. I'm not saying the PSP is terrible, I'm just saying that, you know, that there is more quantity than quality when it comes down to most of the PSP games. But the PSP aside, this is not we're not talking about the PSP here, we're talking about the 3DS. So, graphically, the games are fantastic, a big step up. Well, not big, huge step up from the Nintendo DS games. 3D games on the DS were really pixelated and terrible looking. For example, the 3D game I played was Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Now, that 3D game looked... it looked very, pixelated and everything. It didn't look anything that good at all. The same goes for some other 3D games that come out. There might be a couple exceptions, but most of them can't. The DS cannot really handle 3D graphics that well, unless the developers really put a lot of time and effort in, which most of them don't want to do most of the times. But anyway, let's go away from the DS again. But basically, yes, you can play backwards compatibility games, or well, original DS games onto the 3DS, except you'll get great black bars at the side of the screen right over here. And it looks a bit, personally to me, it looked a bit pixelated as well on the 3DS. I expected backwards compatibility to look great of the DS games look great on this. For example, the DS Lite, GBA games looked fantastic on the DS Lite. They looked great. They were more than playable. They're playable here as well, but I am disappointed that it does not look as pretty as it does on the DS Lite. Better screen here. The game should look a lot better. There's even a way, if you press the select and start buttons at the bottom down here, you keep your fingers on both of those, and then you, at the same time, tap the game with your finger. This is DS games we're talking about. You can make the games smaller, so they look clearer, but it's basically the same quality, but just smaller, so it looks clearer. But overall, I think that is just, I don't know what the hell, why Nintendo even put that feature in there. Now, backwards compatibility is a video for another day, but let's go back to the 3DS games. Yes, they do look like they have a lot of potential. There are some games out there that I'm looking forward to testing out as well. I've already tested out LEGO Star Wars 3. That was a really good game. It was much like the PSP version, except the graphics were a bit more detailed, especially when the lightsabers were on. You could see a glow near the floor and near the walls and everything. Graphics were more detailed on the 3DS version of LEGO Star Wars than it was on the PSP. But, if the developers use this properly and bring out better games for it, great quality of games, make the graphics fantastic, and gameplay really fun, then this will be a bloody good device. So far, I'd say that not yet. You can't really compare this to a PSP yet. There are some videos out there comparing the 3DS with a PSP already. That should not be going on just yet. This just came out. Games aren't being released for it yet. And speaking of the upcoming games for the 3DS, they are going to be bringing out some more games for it, including Legend of Zelda, which is, I think it's a remake of one of the Nintendo 64 games, and they're also bringing out another Mario game and Mario Kart. To be honest, I'm not going to get Mario Kart or any of the Mario games for this unless they actually look significantly different compared to the DS version, because the games on the DS Lite were fantastic. The games on the DS, the Mario games on the DS, they were fantastic, and the graphics were more than pleasing. I'd say that they're fine. I wouldn't want to go out and rush out and pay another 30 quid each to play those same games on my 3DS. The graphics will just look more improved, and there'll be a 3D effect. But those will probably be nice to rent. But if you already own the games, there's no really point of actually getting them again unless you, say, sell those games off and then, you know, spend the money to get the 3DS version. But yeah, another game they're bringing out for those of you that want more hardcore games on the Nintendo DS, they're bringing out Resident Evil. 2 Resident Evil games they're bringing out for it. Now, me personally, I haven't played much Resident Evil at all, but I think I might rent the game or something, have a look what I think of it, and then if I like it, I'll purchase it. But as of right now, Street Fighter, I think, is one of the best games out there for the 3DS. This Street Fighter really is an amazing game for the 3DS. really is fantastic. I think Street Fighter has beaten has beaten all the launch titles for the 3DS so far. So, the Street Fighter game was fantastic. If you're going to get a 3DS, get the Street Fighter game for it. Now, is the system worth the £220 price tag? I think it's £230, yeah, something like that. Is it worth that price tag? Well, I'd say a definite no, as of now at least. There's not too much games out for it, and yeah, I'd say it's definitely not worth it. You're gonna have to wait a bit, but many places, such as Amazon, in the UK at least, have reduced the price down from £220 or £230, whatever the 3DS price is, retail price. They reduced it down to £189.99, which is bloody worth it. That's how much I paid for this at first. But then a couple of days later, they reduced the price down to £174.99, and that was only a limited time offer for about 2 or 3 days, and they brought the price up to £189.99. So I paid £174.99 for this, and they reduced their game library cost as well. Super Monkey Ball was there for £14.99 at first, but it's from someone else other than Amazon. But the price has gone back up, and Street Fighter and many other games were reduced from £30 to £24.98. And that's how much I paid for Street Fighter 4. So yeah, overall I've paid £195 for my 3DS and my Street Fighter game, and I think it's well worth the price. If any of you want a Nintendo 3DS, try it first, because as great as the 3D effect is, it is not for everyone. Just recently I found out one of my family members could not see 3D. So yeah, if you want to get a 3DS, see if there's any. First of all, you have to find the games for it, because as cool as the built-in features are, they do get quite old very quickly, and the cameras are not really that entertaining. I just use it for about 2 minutes, that's it, I'm done with them, because the quality is abysmal. But yeah, 3D Effect, try it in a store first, because I have tried it in HMV, which is a store in the UK that sells DVDs, Blu-ray discs, etc., music videos, games, and they were letting you try the 3DS in the UK. This was, and I tried the 3D and it worked very well for me. So first, I cannot recommend to you enough to first try the 3DS. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. The next video will be backwards compatibility on the 3DS with the DS games, and when the eShop comes out, I will give you a quick tour of that as well. I'm really looking forward to that when this next update. And also, you don't know this yet, but the browser, if I tap this right here, it says here, the internet browser will become available through a system update, which is going to be coming at the end of this May. So yeah, just have to stay tuned, and I'll also give you a quick look at the browser. It is also rumoured that you'll be able to watch YouTube videos as well, and I think it was also rumoured that you'll be able to see them in 3D as well. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and if please subscribe, because I'll be uploading more coverage and videos of the 3DS very soon. Okay guys, see ya.